Hey guys, Frightener22 here, back with another batch of Q reviews. And as I stated last week, I'm feeling kind of macho this week, so the theme this week was an 80s action stars triple feature. So let's go ahead and get right into it. The first film that I reviewed this week was the 1988 Above the Law. Synopsis is this. In this gritty action thriller from director Andrew Davis, martial arts expert and Chicago vice cop Nico Toscani, played by Steven Seagal, takes on CIA operatives who are allowing drug trafficking in North America. Nico's superiors tell him to back off his investigation of the agency's connection to Latin American drug lords, but he persists, putting his family's lives at risk. Pam Grier, Sharon Stone, and Henry Silva co-star. Now, this was actually my first foray into any film by Steven Seagal, and how fitting, because it's actually his first film, and he actually also co-wrote the script. So my opinion on this was I'm actually really happy that I finally got around to seeing a Seagal movie, because I had always wanted to. I'm just really big into anything 80s, especially 80s action films, so it seemed a little ridiculous that I had never gone and seen a Seagal movie yet. So after seeing this, I found this was actually pretty good. It did fall slightly short of my expectations. I mean, the action was there, but of course, just like with any, I feel like with any Seagal movie, I think you always kind of get, especially nowadays, you get this stigma of just like, unintentional cheese, just from like the way he acts. I mean, his acting isn't all there and everything, but, with any, great 80s action movie, are you really going to see it for an Oscar-worthy acting performance? No, I mean, you're seeing it for, interesting action scenes, cool shootouts, over-the-top action, pretty much what you'd expect from, action films from the 80s. So, this film, as much as I said it did fall a little bit short, I mean, I think the story was pretty solid. I really enjoyed the story about, how, just kind of like corruption in the whole system, from, the CIA to the police and everything. I kind of liked how at the end of the film, Steven Seagal he actually kills the villain played by Henry Silva, who's actually phenomenal in this. Henry Silva always plays a really, really solid villain, and Above the Law was no exception. So this, the ending was cool because as much as he gets the villain, it's not that he doesn't really foil the corruption in the CIA and stuff, and his closing lines to the movie are actually, after I sat on it for like a day, I found that to be pretty interesting, especially in today's society, like, how that speaks so many volumes about how, no matter what you do, no matter how good of a cop you are, there's always just going to be certain people that are above the law and you can't really do anything about it. And that speaks so true about today. So I found that it was, really, really interesting that a film that Steven Seagal did back in, 1988 still has a theme that's very prominent nowadays. So that much, that part of it I really did enjoy. So using the Netflix star system, I'd have to give this 3 out of 5. I dug this one. The next one I got was 1986's Over the Top, and I know my buddy Jason, all the way over in Japan, said this is one of his favorites, so I'm definitely, uber excited to be reviewing this one. So the story goes like this. Sylvester Stallone plays a trucker by the name of Lincoln Hawk, and he abandoned his wife and child years and years ago, but now that his wife is terminally ill, he wants to pick up the pieces and, reform his relationship with his son nowadays. But his father-in-law is really insistent on like gaining custody of his child, but Stallone's character really wants to become the father figure that he walked out on so many years before that. And along the way, he's entering in a Las Vegas arm wrestling championship to win a whole lot of money and a new truck to kind of start his new life with his son. So, as much as this doesn't really seem like a traditional action movie in the more traditional sense, it definitely was a cool movie. I mean, the poster art, definitely leads you to believe that it's much, much more action-packed than, like, you would ever expect. You would probably, from this, you expect, like, crazy fighting scenes and, what have you, chase-outs and stuff. And, I mean, there is that, just not in, crazy amounts. I mean, the film was cool, though. I mean, it was definitely it was definitely cheesy. I have to say, out of the whole week's films, this is definitely the cheesiest one, but in all the best ways. I mean, 80s cheese, nothing else compares to that. So this was fun in that respect. But I have to say, the only gripe I really, truly had with this is the kid, played by David Mendenhall, who played Stallone's son. What a baby! This kid was such a wimp. When you meet him early in the film, he's actually just leaving military school for, you know, younger kids, and he was such a wimp. I could not even fathom how he survived in there, because I feel like he probably must have been made fun of and constantly been called, like, a wimp every single day, because he is such a little girl. When he gets in the car with Stallone, he's busting his nuts, crying like a spoiled little brat half the movie. I couldn't deal with it. I just wanted, you know, Stallone to just go Rocky on him, or Rambo, and just rip his esophagus out, because he was pissing me off so much throughout the movie. I'm like, dude, your father abandoned you, but, you know, he's really trying to pick up the pieces and make a true effort, and he's not even getting mad at you this whole movie, so cut him some slack. But the important thing about this movie that I truly learned is that if I ever have a child, a son specifically, and I develop a broken relationship with him, I know that I can work my way back into his art by arm wrestling, and that's exactly what I plan on doing. If I screw up as a father, this is what's going to bring me back into my kid's life. Oh yeah, over the top, over the top. So, you know, using the Netflix star system, I'll give it 3 out of 5. Cheesy, but a lot of fun. Tons of fun. The last film that I got was 1988's Bloodsport. Couldn't do this week without a little JCVD in my life. So, the only exposure that I actually had to Jean-Claude Van Damme was, sadly, Street Fighter, which is fun in my opinion, and Sudden Death, which I enjoy a lot. So this is probably his most classic film. I think a lot of, you know, Jean-Claude Van Damme fans would feel comfortable saying that much. And this was cool. He plays Frank Dux, who's entering, he takes a quest to Hong Kong to enter in this underground martial arts championship, and on the way there, he has a bunch of, like, two government agents, one of them played by Academy Award winner Forrest Whitaker, chasing him throughout Hong Kong to bring him back to the States, because he's far too precious of an investment for the U.S. government to jeopardize, you know, costing him his life in this tournament. So they're trying to bring him back to the States, all while he's trying to, you know, honor his sensei in this tournament. And he gets to the final round to fight Chong Li, who's the undefeated lethal champion. So this movie was cool, man. I mean, like, 80s cheese to the max yet again. I mean, I'm talking ridiculous, over-the-top, you know, just way, way too many slow-motion shots of, like, action shots and, like, reaction shots, intimidation shots of the opponents trying to freak each other out with their, like, you know, huge eyes and their massive pecs and stuff like that. So that was just a little wild, but it was really fun to watch that, because it's just, you know, it was the time, and that's just what you would expect from a movie like that. But overall, I thought the action scenes, the martial arts were pretty phenomenal, you know, so I have to say it was really cool. I mean, Jean-Claude Van Damme was seriously kicking ass in this one, and I definitely plan on seeing more Jean-Claude Van Damme action movies after this one, specifically, because this was just cool. I mean, he's jacked, and he's just kicking the shit out of everything that comes his way. So it's definitely a pretty sweet film to check out. I would, out of all of them, I'd have to say this week was by far my favorite film was Bloodsport. So it wasn't, you know, the greatest action film of all time, but it was definitely fun to, you know, soothe those, you know, those 80s action movie urges. So this was definitely my favorite, but I'm going to have to give it 3 out of 5. Not the best, certainly not the worst, but a decent way to kill 90 minutes. So that wraps up my 80s Action Stars triple feature for the week. Normally I would give you guys a sneak peek at next week's Q reviews, but there's actually, I'm not going to do that this week, because come Monday I have a very special announcement that I'm going to make in regards to next month. I know I've been dropping plenty of hints on people's comments, so tune in Monday for a very special announcement on the YouTube channel in reference to next month. And, you know, once again, guys, thanks again for tuning in. Leave comments, feedback, subscribe, all that good stuff. So I will see you guys on Monday with a special announcement. Thanks again for tuning in, guys. I'm Brightner22.